Something weird is happening. I can't believe I'm saying this. G'day y'all, I'm so excited because I have just picked up Armaf Club de Nuit Untold. I know this to be allegedly a Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait dupe. As far as Baccarat Rouge 540 goes, the original's okay for me personally. I love the Extrait. Unfortunately, I cannot own it myself because it is literally 700 Australian dollars and that is just not in the budget at the moment. When I saw this pop up on Chemist Warehouse's website for $60 for 105 mils, I was like, it's done. It's purchased. That is mine right now. And I figured I would just do a couple of things. One, I wanted to do a first impression of the fragrance on camera. I also want to compare it to Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait. And I will do that. I will do a side-by-side test and see how they compare and wear throughout the day. But for now, I just want to do a first impression of this by itself. I haven't smelled the original in like 2 weeks or so. It's hard for me to directly compare it. So this right now is just going to be judging it on its own merit by itself as a standalone fragrance and not comparing it to anything else. And I figured that would be maybe a good idea for those of you who have not smelled the original. Here we go. I'm opening it on camera. It's still got the plastic on it. Here she is. The box is beautiful. Also, I love that it got like a little rhinestone right here. How cute is that? God, it's not very often I get 100 ml perfume bottles anymore. It just feels so foreign and heavy. I always buy smaller sizes. Little advertisement at the top. We love that. The hustle is real. Opening it up, pulling it out by the lid. Oh, probably not a good idea. Beautiful bottle just by itself. It's got like this oil slick. It is very pretty. And again, it's got that little rhinestone. I feel so stupid when I do that. It's got that little rhinestone on the little pendant here. Okay, enough with the bottles, or you just open up the damn fragrance. We'll spray it on paper first, then we'll do it on skin. Oh. The amber's very strong. It's a bit sharp. There's more of an, like a aromatic earthiness to this one. Like the wood peeks through a little bit more than the original. So first smell, super heavy amber. It's even a little bit sharp. So that's super warm. Then I get the woodiness and it's heavy. It's like a heavy wood earthy. A little medicinal. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I don't get that from the original. I know this is meant to be just on its own merit, not necessarily. God, it's so strong, you guys. It's definitely filling up this entire room right now. Okay, so that amber is toning down a little. I'm gonna spray it on my skin. I'm just gonna spray it on my arm here. Okay, this is interesting. So on the skin, there's a little bit more of a tartness. It's similar, but that medicinal bit comes out a little bit more. And there's almost like a minty, there's like more of an aromatic quality that comes through on the skin, like immediately. The amber's not as strong on the skin, or maybe I'm just becoming anosmic to it. Honestly, I kind of like it more on the tester, like on the paper. Is that weird? Yeah, it's almost like, it's more unisex. It has like a masculine quality on the skin more so than on the paper. There's something that's giving, like, this sounds really weird, so just bear with me. There's something that's giving toothpaste. Underneath the sweet amber and earthiness, there is something that is giving toothpaste. I don't know. Am I the only one that smells that? Look, it's the best damn toothpaste I ever smelled. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's been a couple weeks since I've smelled Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait, but I would say that this is a bit more, just off the top of my head, it's a bit more aromatic and almost masculine than the Baccarat Rouge. I'm even tempted to compare it to some 540 dupes that I have. One that y'all have probably seen quite a bit is Red Temptation. Now, I guess this is not duping the Extrait. This would be duping the original. So for those of you who love your dupes, maybe you've collected some dupes of Baccarat Rouge 540 or the Extrait. I'm gonna just smell this one really quickly. So this is Zara's Red Temptation. I have the rollerball. Shit. My nose is so tired. I will say, you guys, as far as the strength and the cloud that it's creating around me, it is giving that. Like, it is very intense, very strong, Granted, I did spray it now 3 times, twice on the paper, once on my arm. If nothing else, this mother is so strong. I'm actually gonna rub the Red Temptation on my other arm here. I wasn't really planning on doing this, but I figure why not? Just because I know a lot of people like Red Temptation. Let that dry a little bit. Okay, interesting. Red Temptation has more, it's more synthetic. It's so odd, but I swear to you, when I smell this, and then I'm smelling Red Temptation, granted, I just applied it, but this smells so synthetic compared to this. More of that like medicinal note. It's almost giving a little citrus, like almost a little bit more citrus than the Armaf. That's so weird that it's doing that because I never pick that up when I wear Red Temptation. They smell so different when I smell them side by side. I'm really just getting a weird citrus chemically smell from the Red Temptation. Okay, I'm gonna stop smelling right next to my arm because I think that's kind of tainting my experience that I'm getting from this, because the cloud that it's creating around me is absolutely beautiful. On its own, it smells really good. Now, I paid $59 for this and it's 105 mils. I would gladly pay that again for this scent. It smells really good. Now, if I'm spraying up close on my arm, you do get that sharp. There is a sharpness there. Definitely that isn't there with the Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait. And it comes off a little bit more aromatic and slightly masculine to me. If I'm not smelling it just right up to my arm and I'm just smelling the cloud that it's creating, it smells beautiful. It smells absolutely beautiful. I'm even curious if I were to layer these, the Zara Red Temptation and the Armaf, I do wonder what that would smell like. I might test that out as well. I mean, listen, I really like it. First impression, I really like it. I think it's definitely worth the money because it's so cheap, like I said. The cloud that it's creating, it does give me similar from what I remember. It's been a couple weeks since I've smelled it. I need to I'm probably just gonna go into the city and smell it. From what I remember, this is not quite as sweet gourmand. It doesn't have as much of that gourmand quality as the Extrait. That is my very first impression. Next up, we are gonna compare these two side by side. So stay tuned for that. Hello everyone, welcome back. So it's been admittedly a couple of weeks since I filmed that first impression of Armaf. I had to order a decant of Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait because I couldn't be bothered to go all the way into the city just to spray it, and I wanted to have it at home to compare to the Armaf. So I just like doing it at home. I don't want to have to go out in the hustle and bustle of the city just to smell one fragrance. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to maybe spray I only have 2 mils, so I don't want to use I really want to use this sparingly. What I'm going to do is spray both on my wrist. So I'm going to do the Armaf on this side and the Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait on my right side. I will kind of give a initial impression comparing both of them, maybe come back in like an hour, 2 hours, and then kind of see where it's at and how it's smelling. In the Armaf, top notes of saffron and jasmine, middle notes of amberwood and ambergris, base notes of fir resin and cedar. In Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait, you've got top notes of bitter almond and saffron, middle notes of Egyptian jasmine and cedar, and base notes of ambergris, woody notes, and musk. Here we go. Let's go. Here we go. How many times can I say let's go challenge? Okay, we've got 1 spritz there. This is Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait going on my right. If I can get it out. Gonna smell the Armaf first, since I sprayed that first. Okay, Armaf, much more amber heavy. You can still get the amber here, but it's not as heady and it's not as sharp. It's kind of just among everything else, right? So the greenness in the Armaf, it's a bit heavier. It's a bit darker. BR40 Extrait, much lighter. There is like a almost citrusy factor that cuts through the amber, where the amber is not nearly as heavy. But the greenness, the pine in the Armaf is a lot deeper and gives more of a masculine quality. BR540 Extrait isn't as deep of a green woodiness. It's more light and bright. It's not as heavy. And I do have to say that in comparison to BR540 Extrait, the Armaf does come off sharp. That amber comes off a bit sharp. Actually, it can come off a lot sharp if you're not careful. If you're putting your nose right up to it, yeah, you're getting that sharpness. From afar, it's fine. I don't know. I smell them together, and I don't even know if I noticed this when I first smelled Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait, but it just is, it has that like almost citrusy green brightness that I didn't really smell at first, but now that I'm comparing it to the Armaf, it just comes across so much lighter and not as heavy, which if I'm being honest, I don't know if that makes it better for me personally. And I will say I just love the almond. I love the almond in the BR 540 Extrait. In general, I just love almond notes, so it's kind of hard to beat that one in this instance. As it's drying down, more of that floral property is coming through in the BR 40 Extrait. The Armaf, it has more of a masculine quality as it dries down, and it kind of reminds me of a sweet toothpaste almost, or maybe even like an aftershave, which is obviously the pine doing that, but it just comes across as, maybe because of how forward it is in the notes, it's coming across a bit masculine. Like I said, you're really having to stick your nose up there to really get that. I think that if you're, just walking by, you're probably not gonna get that nuance. But it's interesting. I would expect Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait to feel a lot heavier, but now it just seems like a really light and airy fragrance. I really expected it to hold up more with that thickness with the amber, but it really doesn't do that. It almost is giving like a fresh spicy compared to the Armaf with the woody notes. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to wear this for an hour, so it is 6:11 at the moment. I am going to have some dinner, play some Baldur's Gate. I will come back in about an hour or two and see how they are wearing. Okay, I am back. It has been about an hour. It's almost 7:30 now. I have some thoughts. I've worn Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait before, really enjoyed it. I've sprayed it in store and really enjoyed it, and even when I received the decant of it, I sprayed it on the back of my hand, really loved it. And something interesting is now going on when I'm wearing it next to the Armaf on this hand. As for how the scent has developed, still, it smells the same as when I first applied it. It's still that really strong amber with a little bit of pine woodiness that gives it like a little bit of that masculinity beneath it. And when I wear it with Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait, something weird is happening where listen, I normally love this fragrance, but something weird's happening. It is smelling like old chewing gum. Like, you know when you have a piece of minty gum and you chew it for like an hour or two and then you take it out to throw it away, and the smell of that's now what it's smelling like to me. There is a sweetness, but it's like smells, I don't know, maybe it's just that almond is doing something funky when I'm wearing it next to the Armaf, but I don't know why it's smelling like old chewing gum. It's so strange, and I've never picked that up before. I can't believe I'm saying this. Wearing them side by side, I prefer the Armaf. I think I actually prefer the Armaf. When I smell BR 540 Extrait, it's just giving old chewing gum. And it's so odd. I don't know why it's doing that. It could be my skin. It could be it doing something weird with my skin. It could be that I'm just picking up certain notes more strongly. I'm not really sure. I mean, as for a one-to-one dupe, no. Armaf is not a one-to-one dupe of BR 540 Extrait. I don't have Baccarat Rouge 540, the original one, to compare for this video specifically. I mean, honestly, after doing this comparison, I'm not disappointed that I'm not able to afford BR 540 Extrait. As weird as that sounds, I mean, I'll probably use the rest of the decant happily. I've already spent, however, what did I spend on this? Like maybe $15 for 2 mils or something like that. So I will use the rest of it and get through it. You know what? I'm happy with my Armaf. If you decide to pick this one up, I hope you enjoy it, and just, keep in mind what my comparison to the original, and I hope that this analysis helps you if you maybe weren't sure if you wanted to pick this one up. Maybe you've smelled BR 540 Extrait before and you really love it and you want something similar to that. Listen, I'm gonna leave it for you to decide if this is gonna be a good enough replacement for you. But I will say it's cheap. I mean, for us in Australia, it's $60 for 105 mils if you can grab it from Chemist Warehouse. That's where I picked mine up. I mean, if you're able to get it there, it's pretty cheap. For me, I'm happy with blind buying this one. I don't know. This video kind of ended up in a spot I didn't think it would go. I honestly expected BR 540 Extrait to just completely knock it out of the park, and I would strongly prefer this over the Armaf one, but I'm not feeling that way, and it's really odd. I didn't expect this at all. I don't know why it's giving old chewed mint gum. That's wild and weird. I don't know what the hell. I mean, it could be that I'm just smelling it next to something that has such strong notes, like the amber in this is really strong, and maybe that's just, then I can't smell the amber in this one. I'm not really sure what's going on. That is my analysis and comparison of Armaf Club de Nuit and Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait. I hope you can take something useful away from this. Let me know if you've smelled both of these, if you agree with the comparison, if you've maybe smelled one over the other, what do you think? Please let me know, and if you enjoyed, please, you know what, don't leave a like. I want you to dislike this video, actually. Please dislike the video. Let me know if this helped. Okay.